Alright, so we're starting with C because I think we're finished up to this password question. If I remember giving you guys that one. So Kiva writes the pseudocode below for her first client. Study the pseudocode carefully and answer the question that follows. So what is the purpose of this pseudocode here?
To determine max.
To determine max. Max what? Who's Max's name?
Please turn up scroll up so I could see the beginning.
Which beginning? This here?
Yes, sir. The maximum, no, I don't know, but the maximum number of clients?
Anybody else? Alright, to give you an understanding as to let's see, give me a second. Yeah, to give you an understanding as to what the pseudocode is doing, just go through it line by line. So here it's asking you to enter an integer, to read that integer now, to store it. Then while num carry out this processing here. So it has something to do with num, something to do with max. How many num will it be accepting? Any idea? 1, 0, 2, 3, 4.
Anything except 0.
Anything except 0. Good. So if it gets a 0, what would happen?
The loop would end.
Right, good. So if it gets a 0, because it's right here, if it gets a 0, the loop is going to end, and that is also here. The loop is going to end. So the first part of what you said is correct. It's looking for the maximum number, but we want a full description. What's the purpose of the pseudocode? The purpose of the pseudocode is to test the maximum number, or you can say the number with the highest value. That would sound better grammatically. The number with the highest value, test the number with the highest value in a range of numbers. So we're going to enter a range of numbers. So we're going to enter 1, we're going to enter 5, we're going to enter 10, we're going to enter 20, 16, and out of that range of numbers, what it's going to keep doing is testing to see which is the largest, which is the greatest out of all of those numbers. Clear on that? You guys clear on the answer?
Yes, sir.
Chitra, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Now name the constructs that are in the pseudocode. So the first question you should be asking is, what are constructs? Anybody know what's a construct? A construct is basically the keywords and statements that is inside of the pseudocode. So basically, what are the keywords and statements in this pseudocode here?
Write, read, set, write and read, write and read.
Write and read. So while is going to be what do you call that? You call that a statement, and read and write, you call that keywords. Where's the textbook? Programming. Yeah. So keywords are going to be input, output, display, print, write, and so on. And statements are going to be if, while statements. So basically all of your loop statements and so on. I'm not sure. Let me see if because I think while is also one. Yeah, while is also one. So basically all the keywords and statements. So while, if, not end if, not end while, because those aren't keywords or statements. They basically just tell you when is the end of the while and the if. Set could be one because it's given us the instruction there, but it's not something that is I've never seen set use, because it's not one of the popular ones, but it's mainly write, read, while, and if. Those are the keywords that we have there. So that's the answer for this question here, the constructs in the pseudocode. Now the third question, state the line which represents initialization. Which line represents initialization?
Line 1.
Line 1. Kia, Chitra, Shaniza.
Yes, sir.
Why is it line 1?
Because
you're setting a value to the thing. No. Yeah, Laura just said killer talk.
Yeah, I was saying that you set a value to the variable max, like Kia said.
Right, that was it. So initialize is when you give a variable a value. So we're given the variable max the value of 0. So that there is initialization, line number 1. Good. State the purpose of the second output statement. So which line has the second output statement?
Sir, right integer or 0 to stop, that's line if.
Good. So that's the second output. So what's the purpose of that? Is that the question?
To know for the user to decide if they want to continue the loop or to end the loop.
Anybody else? Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Not hearing Chitra and Shanice at all.
I'm not sure. That's why I wasn't answering.
So yeah, that is correct. It's this line here actually should not be indented. It should actually come out in line with this while here, because it's part of this while, or even in line with this end if here, so that it shows that when you come out of the loop, come out of the if, you're gonna run this statement here, write enter integer or 0 to stop, so enter a number to continue basically, or 0 to stop the loop. It's gonna read the value, and depending on it, it's gonna stop or continue basically. So that there is the purpose. Four, state the names of the variables that are used in the pseudocode. What are the names of the variables? Shaniza?
Something wrong with Shani's mic.
Not her. Yeah, the names of the variables, anybody? She could type them. Yeah, nobody seen the variables?
Sorry, yeah, a number. No, max and num.
Good. Those are the two variables that we have. We have num and we have max. Those are the only two that we have. Good. Next question. Identify the two lines in the pseudocode on page 17 that demonstrates a relational operator. Which line? Is it two line? How many lines does it say? Identify two lines. Which two line has relational operators?
So, line 5 and 6.
One of those are correct.
Wait, no, sir. 4 and 5. 4 and 5.
Right. 4 and 5. Because this is basically another, it's not an initializing, just a setting of the value. So, anybody know what is a relational operator? What's the definition of a relational operator? It's in the name.
They relate to each other. They like do the same. No, like carry the same. No, sorry, the words ain't coming, but it's coming at the same time, right? It was like rational function mean like they carry out function and R together. You know.
So you're comparing values basically. You're seeing.
Same thing.
Sorry, it's not the same as conditional. Conditional operation. It's a certain. I'm not sure if you can call it condition if it meets a certain condition. Not sure, but we call them relational operators. So we're basically checking to see how the two relate to each other. So like for instance, it's asking if the variable num, if it is not equal to 0. So how those two relate. If num is greater than max, how those two relate there. So that's what we call them relational. But we got the normal operators like plus, minus, asterisk, and so on. Those are our, what operators do we call them?
Mathematical.
I have no idea either, so that's for
It's
next.
mathematics. It's the word, sir. It's maths.
Yeah, it's in maths. All of those operators are in maths, Kia.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's called mathematical. It's the basic ones.
Okay, we'll accept your answer.
Okay, thank you.
Just be sure before you put down a paper. Good. So our final question for the paper. Kiva has written the pseudocode on page 17, wants to use the flow charting techniques to show the construct of the program. Draw a flow chart depicting the while loop. So notice they only want the while loop. Yes, Keela.
Sir, you can draw and we can tell you what to draw.
Yeah, that's
Because we will draw anything.
good. So what am I starting with? So while loop, we have a while loop.
You start with start.
Nope.
Yes.
Start in a rectangle, but like it got no points.
So what you mean though, sir?
It says you're creating the while loop.
Oh, we got read.
So
Sorry.
it's not starting from the beginning of the pseudocode. Draw a flow chart depicting the while loop. So they don't want the whole thing. So yeah, what are we starting with? So I should have asked you guys where the while loop start and end, but actually yeah, let me ask you that question because what I marked off was wrong. Which line is the where to where is the while loop?
Sir, from line 4 to line 10.
Good. Line 4 to line 10. That is our while loop, and that is the flow chart we got to create for. Good. So we know flow chart deals with symbols, so you got to figure out what is being done in the particular line and what symbol do we need. So what is being done in line 4?
Never mind, sir. I don't know the word for it.
So we have our start stop symbol, we have our processing symbol, we have our decision symbol.
Sir, that word, decision.
Good. No, that's wrong.
Oh my god. Sir, you just said good. Good, that's wrong.
I thought it was the other one.
Sir, process?
Yeah. Process is any calculation being carried out. And we know that this is an operator here. Operators are used in calculations. So please remember that. So
So the other one gonna be a process or it gonna be a decision?
Yes.
Oh, a decision. Never mind.
exactly, can you see the if there, right? Hopefully that's what made you change your mind. So this here is process, this here is decision. What would this here be? Line 6.
That would be an input or a storage.
No.
That's not storage.
It's a processing also. Because you're making a value equal to a variable. You're making a variable equal to another variable. And if won't count as anything, what would line 8 be?
Sir, that would be an output.
Good. Line 9.
That would be input.
Good. And then line 10, we don't have to do anything for that. Good. So first we need to start off with a process. So anybody remember what's the symbol for process? I actually sent it in the group the other day. Nobody? Rectangle. So we start off with a rectangle and we put in while. Remember, we gotta put it inside of the box. While num.
Wait, sir.
Uh-huh.
We gotta know them symbols and signs and things?
Yep.
Oh.
You gotta know all the symbols and what the symbols represent so that you can do exactly what I'm doing right now. Draw the symbol and put the exact words inside of it. A flowchart, yes, we're creating a flowchart. So that is line 4 there, process. So now from line 4 we go to line 5 with a decision if num is greater than max. So from this here we draw a flow line. So ensure you put your arrows to indicate the flow, and you draw a diamond. Diamond is decision. And you put in your if inside here, if whatever. From this if now, you can come out with the true, you can come out with the false. So, and you can indicate it if you want, that this side is true, this side here is false, whichever one you want to decide. Yes, you have to know this for your exam. It's an exam paper, Shaniza. So if num is greater than max, then set max to num. So on the true side, on this side here, is where we're gonna have set max to num, because that's the true side. So that's also the then. So you can put then if you want also. You can put else over here if you want also, to make it clear. Now, we don't have anything else on the then. And actually we don't have a false. Okay, if you notice, anybody seeing else?
No, sir.
No. So there is no false statements, because you're not seeing any else. So remember, we have two conditional statements. We have if then, and we have if then else. So one of them looking at only true, and one of them looking at true and false. Remember, then is true, else is false. So if you don't see an else, nothing is wrong. It basically means they're not looking at the false. So if you notice the end if here, so that's the end of that if statement there. So technically we don't need this one side here. Now actually, so what you're gonna put there is technically it's there's still gonna be a false, just that there is no particular action gonna be carried out. So we still gotta go to line 8 now. We're out of the if. Write enter integer or out or 0 to stop. So we can use a parallelogram. So this is our output. So from this true now, we're gonna go to this output. Output whatever they ask us to output. And also this false here is gonna come down here. So even though it didn't have an else, you still gotta continue from the else. Because what if the answer was false? It's still gotta go to the output. Just that there wasn't any action like how we got this action here carrying out. They didn't tell us to do anything else. So we jump to the next line of code, which is the output. So straight from at the top here, we jump to the output here at line 8, and then we're gonna go to line 9. Remember, we're going sequential, one line at a time. So you just look at each line, draw your symbol, draw your instruction. So this is an input here, and we end the while loop there. So after the output, we got another line come down and another parallelogram, and this is gonna be our inputs, and that there is the end of our loop. So this is our loop here. So if we were to go through it, so while num is not equal to 0, so say for instance the person entered 3, it's not equal to 0. So it's going to be true, come down here, set the value to max, come down here, give us an output, then come down here, we input the value. Now if the value does equal to 0, then it's going to be if it is not, while it is not equal to 0, while it is not equal to 0,
Nothing's gonna happen, sir, because they can't even go in. It doesn't fit the.
no, 0 is not equal to 0. 0 is not equal to 0. While 0 is not. No, if, then it has to be true, right? While num is not equal to 0, that's true. 0 is not equal to 0. No, it 0. Yeah, that's what?
Sir, if number was 0, 0 is not more than 0, and 0 is not less than 0. So you can't do anything.
So while num is not equal to 0, so anything greater than 0 basically, and that is true, then we go on this side. Yeah. So we enter 0, it's not equal to 0, we come down here, we give our output, and we give our input there. Good. But that's basically our flow chart there. Shanice and Chutri following up?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, Atavi, you just joined us when we have completed the paper. So I guess Akil will get you up to date. Alright, so what paper are we starting next?
Sir, we could do May, June 2021. Go backward.
So this one here?
Sure, we could do paper 1.
Yeah.
We're doing paper 1?
Yeah, did I do this paper with you guys already?
No.
No, sir.
Oh, was
Yeah, you did with me.
We did?
He did it with me.
Well, you were talking and
And he sent the answers to the group.
me open it. So wait, hold on. Oh yeah.
No,
Open it before?
no, I didn't do this paper with her. It was somebody else.
Oh, but
Is
so
it
no, I.
Is the exam paper she talking about?
Oh, so no, yeah. Here's solid answers, right?
No, I think.
Oh no. Oh, good. Learn now. We learn.
Yes. So the first question. Which of the following are considered computer hardware?
Output devices.
Everyone agree on that? Output devices. That's
Yes,
correct.
sir.
Good. So, what's the definition for data?
Raw facts.
Raw information.
No, information is processed.
Can't say raw information.
It'll be raw facts.
Okay, when unprocessed. Oh god.
No, friend, no. If from the text information, it's processed right to it. You can't say unprocessed. It'll be raw facts.
Raw,
right, huh?
raw facts and figures.
Ha.
So I think you should tick off C instead of putting a tick next to C. Like cross it out.
Sorry,
Before,
you think I'm bullying? Sorry, you think I'm bullying?
before,
Tell she not me. I can do what I want.
apparently she's the one that can't see well.
Yes, I can see.
Yeah, so data is raw facts and figures, things that we cannot understand. So unprocessed, we can't say unprocessed information because how do we get unprocessed information? Information is already processed. Good. What is a program basically?
Something that is inside computer that helps with the functions.
Half of that
Mm.
is correct. Helps with the
That
function, but how?
carries out a specific function.
Performs a specific task. Looking for a specific word. It carries out instructions. That's the word I'm looking for. A program, a software, they function by carrying out an instruction that they were designed in their programming code to carry out. That's basically a program, to carry out instruction. So whatever they were designed for, that's what they will do. And we all know what is an operating system, right?
Yes, sir.
2. To use the program stored in a flash drive, the program must be transferred into and no one knows.
No, sir. Please answer that question.
Alright, so this is where understanding the structure of a computer gonna be helpful to you guys. So you have here a motherboard, and on the motherboard you're gonna have your CPU. So this is your motherboard. On it you're gonna have a CPU. On it you're gonna have your RAM. Now remember, RAM has 3 names. RAM has RAM, memory, and main memory. You can use either one in the exam. And somewhere here you're gonna have connection to your hard drive, and then you can get your keyboard, your monitor, mouse connection going on here. So this is your input, output. So these are the 5 hardware components that make up any computer. So input, output, CPU, which is processing, RAM, which is your memory, and hard drive, which is your storage. These 5 components make up any computer. Now, how does a computer work? All computers work in the same manner. Your hard drive, when the computer first starts up, all data is going to be on the hard drive. Your operating system, for example, is on the hard drive. The operating system now is going to load, when the computer turns on, it's going to load into RAM. Now, when it gets loads into RAM, the CPU is going to look to RAM to process that operating system. When you want to play a game, it's going to be on the hard drive also. It has to get loaded into memory. And same thing again, the CPU is going to look at RAM with the game inside of it to process it. So this is how your computer works all the time. It sends the data to RAM, and the CPU looks at RAM to process that data, to do anything with data. So to answer the question, to use a program stored in a flash drive, the program must be transferred into what?
RAM.
RAM. So for the computer to process any data, to carry out any instruction, to carry out any program, it must be in RAM first. What does RAM stand for?
Random
Access memory.
RAM,
Read only memory.
EEPROM,
programmable read only memory.
EEPROM,
Erasable programmable read only memory.
EEPROM,
Sorry, erasable programmable. So that's big one. Not so you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
two E instead of one E.
Oh, me no bother.
So EEPROM.
I think you must up, you know.
So we can come back to that. RAM, temporary or permanent?
Temporary.
RAM, temporary or permanent?
Permanent.
Yeah, I think it's permanent. Yeah,
Prom, temporary or permanent?
permanent. What?
Permanent. So ROM is basically prom. Prom is basically ROM. These two are basically one each other. Basically all of them are except for ROM. They're basically the same thing. Does that ROM, you can't change it. So they created PROM. You can program it. You buy the chip and you can program it one time. Now EEPROM, you can now erase the data, so you can erase and program it back if you want. And then you have EEPROM, which gives you another method of erasing. So EEPROM erases the data with ultraviolet. So you gotta use ultraviolet to erase that data. The E in EEPROM stands for electrical or electricity, one to the two. Basically, it uses electricity to erase the data. So EEPROM uses its erasable programmable read-only memory, but it uses ultraviolet to erase the data. EEPROM uses electricity. I think it's some variation of that word it starts with. Electrically erasable. So it uses electricity to erase it. Good. So that's the variations there, and it actually has more variations, but we don't need to know all of that. 3. Which of the following operations is considered a feature of a biometric system?
Matching
Matching
fingerprints.
fingerprint.
Good. So what are the other biometric features?
I think.
Iris.
Iris,
Oh yeah. Never mind.
iris, fingerprints,
Say your face. It's a face ID thing.
face,
Okay.
palm. I think that's about it. Fingerprint, the entire palm, the face, the iris. That's about it. And the your voice. Those 5. Good. You could have easily look at the other answers and see they basically don't make any sense. Cause we don't scan for heartbeat. There is no system that diagnoses medical system, or else each one of us will be sick. And I don't know which system lubricates your skeletal joints. 4. You should get one for heartbeat. We do have that, Shaniza. There's machines that sell that checks your what's your heart rate.
Sir, you mean your watch is good, sir?
Yeah. But does that you can't use that for a biometric system because your heart rate is always varying. Every time Shaniza going to open the door, her heart start racing because she don't know if she can get going to the house or not. It varies too much for rum is something that will be used to identify you. So somebody can get the same heart rate as you. So it won't work out. Good. 4. Which of the following would not be considered cloud storage if you're dead? So that mean anybody who alive you want them to go in your house? somebody can't use it. I'm not seeing Shaniza. What Shaniza is trying to think about right now. Yes, moving on. Which of the following would not be considered cloud storage?
Data stored and accessible online.
Data stored and
Accessible on a LAN. B.
on a LAN. Good. What is cloud storage? Anybody?
With like the information, anyway, data stored on like servers.
Mm-hmm. Looking for something more direct, something more specific. It doesn't have to be on a server, actually. Where is it? What is the physical location? That is the answer to the question. What is the physical location of cloud storage?
Online? On internet?
I mean, you know how this, right? But you said LAN, so on a router.
No.
Like on the internet circle, Miss Girl, like
Yeah,
it was for you.
basically when we say cloud storage, we're referring to the internet. When every time we hear the word cloud, we're basically referring to the internet. But we want to have a better understanding instead of just saying internet. So, yes, whenever we say cloud, we're referring to the internet. But technically, cloud storage is basically storing on a computer, any device that is not physically near you. It could be somebody in another town. That could be cloud storage. So if Akila and Kia don't live in two different cities, two different village, and Akila storing data on Kia computer, that could be her cloud storage. So cloud storage is basically having storage that is not near you, and you got to use the network in order to have access stored to it. But in a more business environment, that's where the servers come into play, because persons, they use it as a service now, so that you can store your data. Like for example, Google Drive, OneDrive, Google Photos, and so on. So storing data on a remote server, that is a cloud storage. Backing up data and storage data on the internet, that's cloud storage because it mentions internet. And data managed by storage providers or hosting companies, because these companies are the one that is managing the cloud storage basically. But the fact that they're going to say LAN, we know LAN is something that is near to us, physically near to us. So that's not cloud storage. 5. Which of the following could not be classified as a cloud-based application? Simplest question.
Windows.
Yeah. Not a cloud-based application. We just talked about cloud-based being services that you got to use the internet. Do you have to use the internet to use Windows?
No, sir.
No. So it's not a cloud-based application. So whenever you see the word cloud, it's basically referring to the internet. It's asking if these applications here, which one does not need the internet? You have to use the internet to use Gmail, Dropbox, and Google Drive. 6. The lights in a room turn on as soon as the person enters. Which input device is most likely used to control the lighting in the room?
A sensor.
Good, that's correct. Because we know how sensors work. They used to detect something, some sort of type of data. 7. Which of the following devices is used to input data into the computer?
Mouse.
Mouse. The mouse is the only input device here. The speaker is what type of device?
Output.
The flash drive.
Storage.
Yeah.
And the hard drive.
Storage.
And I go, Akila was confused about that one.
I was confused. I was saying storage.
He said it in a slow, confused
Anyways,
way.
when
What was that?
anyways, when you finish, can you send this to us? The document
It's
with the
already.
answers.
Oh, with the answer? Okay.
Yeah. Question 8. Yes, sir. Continue.
In which of the following interface types is the user required to remember specific instructions and syntax?
The command driven.
Anybody else? No other attempts? She is correct. The command driven, that has to deal with commands and instructions and so on. So an example of that is basically your command prompt. So it's important to understand interfaces. Anybody has a definition of what is an interface? What is your understanding of a interface?
It's like, I don't know if it's called a software program, right?
Sure.
But it basically helps to helps let the user be able to command the computer in a way to carry out the functions.
Okay, we can accept that. Akila?
Where the user interacts with the software.
Okay, so that specific word
I don't know, sir.
So an interface is how you interact with a system. And you have various ways of interacting with a system. You have typing in commands. You have the method of clicking and stuff, like moving the cursor, clicking on icons. You have the method of touching a screen. So an interface is how you're going to interact with a system. We have 3 interfaces here. The first interface was the command-driven interface. You got to know a set of commands in order to use it. Like for example, if you type in dir, it's going to list the folders that I have on my computer. Then from the command line interface, we went to the menu-driven interface, which is basically a bunch of menus. So when you go to the ATM, there's a bunch of menu options there. When you go to buy KFC and Popeyes, they use a bunch of menu options. So they just touch the menu option, that's basically it. But today, we use the graphical user interface. Anybody remember what was WIMP?
Sorry, no, sir. Just give me the answer.
So WIMP stands for Windows, Icons,
Menus and
Menus
pointers.
and Pointers, right. So if you ever look at your computer right now that you're using, you can realize that everything is in a window. You have a bunch of icons that you can click on. You have a bunch of menu options that you can choose from, and you use a pointer to point towards and use the interface, to use the computer. All of that makes up a graphical user interface. So those are the various ways that we can interact with the system. And then we also have voice recognition, which is another method we can interact with the system. So however you interact with a computer, that is its interface. So if you talk to Siri on the device, that's the interface. Good. So the most suitable printer for creating this globe is what printer?
3D.
Okay. Okay, guys. Good.
Good. 3D printer. Now we're going to talk about printers. We have 2 types of printers. What are the types of printers?
Impact and non-impact.
Very good. Impact and non-impact. Give me some examples of what's the difference?
Impact, they hit the computer and it goes a noise, and non-impact does like a kind of like a, don't hit it as much and be quiet.
Good. So, as the name implies, impact hits the paper. It like hitting the paper. And a non-impact printer never touches the paper. So, like for instance, it's going to spray the ink onto the paper. It's going to bake the toner onto the paper, but it never touches the actual paper to make the printing. So, or doesn't hit the paper to make the printing. What's an example of a impact printer?
Laser.
No.
Oh, sorry, Matrix.
Yes, the dot matrix. So that printer that prints like this here, so it gives you a bunch of dots like this here to create the letters. That's called a dot matrix printer. So examples of the non-impact printer.
Inkjet.
Two more.
Laser and thermal.
Good. So they're right here. Laser uses what to print?
If I say laser, you gonna laugh?
Heat is not heat.
No, it's lasers. It's in the name.
Don't you? But
Because
it sounds like a
heat
setup
like
though. It sounds like a setup as a laser for laser printed same way. It's not a
So-
setup.
It uses the laser to make the letters onto the drum, and then the drum is transferred onto the paper. For the same laser, what type of ink does it use?
Like what? I don't know. Just copy me, people. Atavia said heated ink.
No. What's the texture, the substance they would use?
a powder.
A powder.
Yeah, we do this in EDPM.
Yes, a powder they call toner. That's for laser. Inkjet uses what?
Ink.
Liquid ink. So laser uses a powder, inkjet uses a liquid ink, and
So are you trying to put like cyber or something in a text box?
it's in your textbook.
Well, sir, like sir, no, I can go all the way through that big book just with simple information.
So powder,
Thank you so much.
toner, liquid ink, and thermal uses what?
Heat.
Heat. And a special paper basically that accepts that heat. Good. I wonder if I can even remember to save this thing. So I close off this thing.
This is what, sir, you gotta do all box, sir. All box. I'm sorry to say.
Alright, 10. Which of the following protocols is used to ensure that all web pages and servers communicate with each other?
HT.
I was discussing this with
Just-
Satfal, and we agree that it's not HTTP.
IP.
Yeah, because
I was thinking that. Oh my god.
HTTP, it's only for browsers to transfer the web page to your browser from the server to your browser. That's the purpose of HTTP. But if you notice, the question is asking for a protocol so that web pages and servers to communicate with each other. But then once again, we can never know what CXC is actually thinking, and it could actually be HTTP because CXC mad like that. So
To put what?
you could.
Get it wrong, sir.
Hmm?
Get it wrong.
You reason on it, see which one makes more sense. But it's saying all web pages and servers communicate with each other, and the only way for these web pages and servers to communicate with each other is it? You see, you don't understand what is if they're talking about a web page to one server, to its server communicating, then that would be HTTP. But it's saying all. So is it talking about this web page communicating with another server, and this server communicating with another web page, or is it just?
Sir, I just googled the HTTP thing, right? And it said it's a standard application protocol used for exchanging files on a World Wide Web.
HTTP
Yup.
exchanging files. What do you want? Yeah, on the World Wide Web, which is the internet. We can go with HTTP then. Because now that I'm looking at it, IP, it could mean that they're talking about it this way, and it's still going to be HTTP. So HTTP is going to be the answer.
And when I look at IP, it says the IP is a unique address that identifies a device on the internet or a local network.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
We shall
Next
go
question.
with HTTP. What does the symbol represent?
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Wi-Fi.
Good.
What the hotspot symbol again?
Turn on hotspot in your phone and you see it.
Sir, hold on. Wait, sir, hold on.
It's more round.
Open one though.
Oh yeah, the data thing. No,
Data thing.
sir.
It's,
Let me take the data thing, sir.
it's something like this here.
Excuse me, sir. My hotspot thing is 2 chains linked to each other.
But on our phone it's something like what you're seeing right now. This drawing.
Around thing, okay.
It's more round.
I am chilling was good and nasty about it, sir.
Oh, so that's your.
You see? You see? Yeah, that's what mine look like.
Where is mine? Okay, so this is one here.
Oh, okay.
Where's the other one? Which one is mine? Yeah, mine wrong. Like the same way how I draw. Mine is like this here. So I guess it.
Okay, sir.
I guess it changes symbol. Moving on. Unauthorized and real-time interception of private communication on a computer network is referred to as
Electrical eavesdropping.
yeah. That's the
What's propaganda again?
false, untrue rumors.
Spreading false information.
Okay, and espionage.
Industrial espionage is
Yes, what?
thieving business information from the site and stuff like that. You get a question like that later on.
Yeah, I keep listening to this live.
Espionage basically means spying. So you're spying to steal the person's information.
Okay.
And identity theft basically tells you what it is. Double entry data verification involves
D? I think it's D.
It gotta be A cause one more W they enter to be one person, right? So C and D is out, right? Good. They enter being copied to another device. Wow, they copy like a verification thing. So
Double data entry means that it will be entered twice.
yeah, remember no, I don't know, it's a different.
It can be A because A is different data.
Exactly, but it's a password, technically same password to verify it. But C and D it can be another person type it in. Is B?
Or why would you enter the data and then copy it
So I
to
said D. I said D, I see.
so as Davis said, you can't use different data, so that automatically out. Anything with different data.
I said that too, sir.
So, B, the data entered being copied to another device. So if you copy the data, how are you verifying it? Copying it doesn't verify anything.
Yeah, but sir, why do you have another person type it in?
God, that doesn't make sense either, but you can think.
But it's the same data. That's the point, right?
Yeah,
Because remember double data entry is entering the same data
I
twice.
think Saints are just foolish. I think they're very foolish people. That's to say. Thank you.
Same.
It's their method of double entry. Maybe think of it this way, like one clerk enter the data on this computer here, and then another clerk is going to enter it on this computer over here, so that way you get double entry.
Okay.
Question, but when they need to enter it into the same computer though?
If it's a server, yeah, it can go into the same computer, same database. So 14, a developer is important to a company because he or she
Is responsible for the company's website.
Good. So he does not give a web address to all user, he does not back up files, and he does not shut down competitors' websites. 15, what is the capacity order?
Oh, I have a question. Do they mean from like big to small or small to big?
Capacity order is usually small to big.
We're gonna be
Well, in that case, it's B.
Yeah.
What? Wait, no, man.
I said
But
B.
hear me out, right? Hear me out, right? Why would you name something TE, right? T is always the biggest thing, so why would you not switch that up? Why would you do that to me?
But T is the bigger one here.
So T at A does no, sir?
Huh?
T at A does no.
No, I had B all the time.
I can't even glasses come back.
Hi, so before Mega, what do we have?
Small, minor, kilobyte,
For Mega,
millibyte.
we have minors.
Sir.
So we got byte. No, we got bit.
Bit, then byte, then kilobyte.
How much is a bit?
10.
8.
What?
No. 8.
It was a
byte
joke.
is wait no.
Listen
8
to the
bit is
question.
1
Listen
byte.
to the question.
Listen to the question.
How much is a bit? B-I-T.
5
5 what?
bits equals 1 byte. I like 1,000.
You didn't even answer the question.
Say that's the question. No.
How much
How
is
much
a
is a
B-I-T?
Yeah. Into a byte.
And that's not the question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're not talking about byte.
We're talking about bit still. How much is a bit?
Sir, 8?
No.
Sir, watch. It gotta be, sir, less than 1, so read on.
No.
Sir, is it less than 10?
A bit is a 1 or a 0.
Oh!
I literally just said one, you know? What I
No,
need.
less than 1. Oh my god.
1
Zero's
or 0.
But sir,
But 0 is less than 1, so
But it's-
technically she's
But
correct.
1 is
0
not less than 1.
sir, you gonna bring me down, you know. I know
It's
this,
just
you know.
gonna be
I know
complicated.
this.
So a bit is a 1 or a 0. How many bit makes a nibble?
A nibble or you?
I know you ain't just
You
a
listen.
nibble. I
Nibble is not a thing, right?
Yeah, nibble is a thing.
Like, that's an IT.
like bit nibble bite.
Yeah, we eating today. The person who came up with all this thing, we're eating the same thing. So he took a bit, and that was either a 1 or a 0. And then when he combined 4 of them bit, that's when he nibble. And when he combine A to the bit, that's when he bite.
That's what I said. I said 8. I said 8. Alright. Moving
So
on.
8 would make a bite and a nibble. A nibble.
Oh, sorry. You serious?
Yeah, there's 4. I think there's one for 2 also, but I can't remember what was it 2.
Wait, nibble is actually a thing in ID?
Yes,
You're
nibble.
not joking, like you're literally not joking right now?
I'm only hungry, to be honest.
So bit, nibble, bite, and then when you reach 1024 bite, what do you get?
Kilobytes.
Good. So a kilobyte. Remember capital B. A bit, common B is bit, capital B is bytes. 1024 byte is a kilobyte, and basically keep going up. So 1024 kilobyte is a megabyte. 1024 megabyte is a gigabyte. 1024 gigabyte is a terabyte. 1024 terabyte is a exabyte. Then a petabyte. Then a zettabyte, and whatever else comes after that.
Sir, it's okay. You don't have to tell us all.
16. In the URL, what is shoes.com?
A domain.
Domain. I sent.
Sir,
Mhm.
we continue, right? If you had an exams Monday, can you enter the school? All the little children, like the farmer.
I don't think anybody should be stopping y'all because what if you got a class?
Yeah, cause I was thinking now, since people who they use the computer, who using school computers, right? And EPM is like Wednesday, where they don't go and like practice those days.
Good.
The computer.
That's what you're supposed to be doing also.
Oh, so you're allowed to? Okay, good.
Yeah, I sent the image of this in the other group about the breakdown of a URL. So shoes.com is called the domain name. 17, which of the following checks is not a validation check?
Reasonableness. Or range.
You sure what? Is that range?
Sir, when city textbook, sir, have much. I got ya one. You still explain back.
I just never remember them.
Same, sir. It's same. It's beat me, you know. I can't people to the worst part. Can't bluff it.
Oh, an easy way that can help you to remember is that verification only has data and double entry verification. Well, basically the only verification method is double entry or visual check. You check it visually or you do a double entry. Verification is basically checking to see if it has any mistakes. But validation is basically check to see if you meet the criteria, if you actually enter data. So like if you enter data within the range, if the data you entered made sense, if it matches the type of data. So those are all like criteria, like if you meet the standard, if it's consistent, like if it matches with the previous data, if it actually has data, if it matches the format, if it has the correct length, if it has digits inside of it. So validation is just checking to see if it meets the criteria, but verification, you're checking to see if it's actually correct, if it is if it doesn't have any mistakes inside of it, like typos and so on. So going back to the question, so double entry, that's a verification check there. 18, which of the following types of technology is commonly used by banks to read data and checks?
MICR.
Which stands for?
Marked. Marked. Some marked recognition. Recognition.
Recognition, yeah.
Read.
Magnetic,
Much programming.
Recognition.
magnetic ink character recognition.
Yeah, the word magnetic. Big words.
POS.
Processing off the storage.
What?
You don't know the POS cycle?
Point of sales.
What?
Y'all never learned POS?
Sorry, you teach people POS?
POS stands for point of sale. So, you know, businesses use a system to scan the items, to do the inventory. When the items sell, it automatically comes out to the inventory and so on. Y'all know about that system? Nope. That's basically point of sales. Is what all supermarkets basically use. OCR.
Optical character recognition.
Good. So that scans the character. OMR.
It can be optical magnetic something.
Mark. Yes, she needs it. Optical mark recognition. Good. So, continue.
Sorry, what? Sorry, you said OME?
The paper is incorrect. It's supposed to be OMR.
Oh, you had me so fooled. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's supposed to be R. So, point of sale, optical character recognition, optical mark recognition, magnetic ink character recognition. That's basically there. Alright, so that's it for today, or continue?
Up to 20. Or 25.
19. Transferring data from a remote computer to your computer is referred to as.
Download? I don't know.
Why is it so confusing?
Because I have to read the question, download.
So it's coming from a remote computer that is not near you, basically, to your computer. That is download. You do it every day. Whenever you download, the file comes from a remote computer to your computer. If the file goes from your computer to another computer, what is that?
Upload.
Good. 20. Data that has been processed and that has meaning is termed.
Information.
Good. 21. The telecommuting can be best described as.
C.
Was working from home and office.
Which one is that?
C.
Working from home by connected home and office. Yeah. Using the computer while commuting. Just asking for the best. Using the telephone while commuting, working from the office. No. So C. Telecommuting is basically working for a business, but you're working anywhere but the business office. You work from home, you work from the beach, you work from a hotel, anywhere. 22. The process of scrambling message at the sending end and unscrambling them at the receiving end is called what?
Encryption.
Good. 24. Which of the following is not a hardware component of a computer system?
Okay, data file.
Yes. Main memory is what?
Part of the
RAM.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say a big thing there, send passing unit. Okay. I'm sorry.
Peripheral device is what?
The output input device is outside the computer. It's controlled by CPU.
Good. So basically any device outside of the CPU controlled by the CPU, and we know that is that. Good. 24.
Output and input or just output?
Huh?
Output and input or just output?
Any device, not just input and output. It could even be hard drive, flash drive, and so on. Storage and so on. That's why the definition says any device outside of the CPU controlled by the CPU. What is the CPU?
The central processing unit.
Where is it located?
Brain and
And
computer.
okay.
Where is it located?
What?
Is it the case of the computer? Or a chip inside the computer?
It is the chip. The chip.
What? What?
Is the chip inside the computer? Remember the
Right.
image I draw? This is the
yeah.
CPU on the motherboard.
The kid wasn't okay. Gotcha.
So that's why the definition has outside of the CPU. So basically outside of this chip here. What is happening? Reasons to not use Bing. Alright, let me look at this one here. Yeah, this here is the CPU here on the motherboard. So that's why they say any device outside of the CPU, so outside of this chip here, which is connected to this motherboard, but it's controlled by the CPU because it's connected to the motherboard, which the CPU is connected to. Which of the following can be termed application software?
Internet Explorer.
Correct. Because the rest is what?
Operating system.
Okay.
Good. So the rest is operating system. DOS, Linux, Mac OS, operating system. 25. Which of the following functions is performed by a modem?
Modulates analog and digital signals.
Any other comments? It doesn't prevent anything because it has to send that data. Regulates analog and digital signal. It modulates it. So, what does modem stand for?
Modulate and modulate, demodulate.
Good. Modulator, demodulator. 26. There are many software restrictions used by computers to protect data and maintain data integrity. Which of the following entities are software restriction media?
Password and encryption.
Oh, I have a question. Why can't it be viruses? Because in some cases, like some of those like high-tech people, like those high-tech IT people, it is literally create a virus. Like if you try to hack the system, like the virus can attack your system. So why can't it not be virus?
Because you want to create a virus to do that in real world scenario. That's something that is made up in movies. So a virus is basically a software. So whenever something happens, we know a software is basically instructions being carried out. So it's just like a normal software. So encryption, you can think of it like well, you can encrypt the data, encrypt the password. Now what you're talking about there, you won't call it a virus, you call it like what, a firewall, or they would have a program running, an AI program. That's what you're looking for, an AI program. So what it's gonna do is gonna constantly be watching the system. If anybody comes in, it's gonna be looking at what's gonna be happening here, what this person is trying to do, and monitor what they're doing and trying to do something against them and so on. So it won't be a virus. It can actually be a program the person created to monitor what they're doing and to block what they're doing or watch what they're doing to try to detect where they're coming from and so on. So what we call a virus. #27. Which of the following devices can be used for both input and output?
Touchscreen.
Good. What's a barcode reader?
The thing that is used to scan the bars on products in supermarket.
Good. So it scans the barcode on your device. What information is in a barcode?
Numerical?
No, what kind of data is stored in the barcode? So, the manufacturer is stored in the barcode. I think when the data was created, basically information about the item. Would the price for the item be in the barcode?
Yeah, because when it's kind of is the price thing is not, yeah.
No.
Really? It doesn't? So why is it when I scan it on the monitor team usually the price will show up?
So that is where the point of sale system comes into play. So the barcode is going to have the ID for the item and any other information about the item. It only has information like general information about the item, the name, manufacturer, maybe expiry information, things like that. Now the point of sale system is going to have information basically that changes frequently, like for example price. So when you scan that barcode, it's going to look in the point of sale system, find the ID, match it to the price, and then that's how you get everything on the bill, because all of that additional information is in the point of sale system. What is a scanner? What is a document scanner?
It scans the document and turns it into. Wait, never mind.
Yeah, it's kind of document, right? Killer said, but when it's kind now, it's like the information it now would be transferred into the computer in a way.
So, line by line or the entire document it scans?
Line by line.
So,
Or the entire document, we know.
The entire document?
The scanner scans the entire document into the system. So it does scan it. The technicality is that it scans it line by line, but when it scans, it finally scans the document. It scans everything and puts it into the computer. So that's why you get it as a PDF, you get it as an image. You don't get it as a Word document where you can edit it, right? When you scan something, can you edit it?
Yeah. If you put in the computer form in the computer, yeah.
So when you scan a document, you can edit it right after?
No.
Oh God! Like if you scan it with the computer, right?
No, when you scan it and it goes into the computer, I think the only way that you can like edit it is if you print it out back, so you could actually write on it.
Or if you convert PDF to Word or something like that. That's the only way. But when you scan a document, it saves that either PDF or image file, so you cannot edit it. So that's a scanner. It scans the entire document, saves it as a file that doesn't really allow you unless you convert it and use other specialized software. Now this is where the OCR comes into play, because the OCR is a more higher version of the scanner, because the OCR now is going to scan each individual characters, so that when you finish scanning, you now are able to edit the document right after. So that's the purpose of the OCR. So when you finish scan, you edit the document right after. 28. Which of the following is true of accessing files sequentially?
Starts from starts from the first record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only correct one. So it starts in the first record. So if you got sequential files, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In order for you to get 10, you have to go through 1 to 9 in order to reach 10. That's what's meant by sequential. So in order for you to get 6, you have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you reach the 6. So you got to start with the first record. You don't start with the largest, you don't start with the smallest, and it does not occur in any order. So this here is wrong, because this here is called random. And this is what your RAM and even your hard drive work, how they work. They work to select the data randomly. Not that it goes randomly. What is meant by random is that it doesn't go sequentially. It doesn't go one after each other. It can pick anywhere, go anywhere. 29. Which of the following is a hardware user interface?
GUI.
Wrong.
Hardware. No, I lie. Touchscreen.
Screen.
What is the interface? We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, allow the computer to use it to interact with it.
Good.
Yeah.
So hardware interface.
Physical.
Good.
Physical interface.
So touch screen. You interact with the system physically using a touch screen. Each one of you got a phone, right? That is the hardware interface. Final question. An official of company X sells confidential information about their company to company Y. What is the term used for this type of misuse?
Industrial espionage.
Yeah, that's the most applicable one, because computer fraud is basically the term that refers to all of these here. That refers to identity theft, industrial espionage. They're all types of computer fraud. And identity theft is just stealing the person's information and using it as your own, but that's not what's being done here. But industrial espionage is mostly about stealing the person's important information and trying to use it. Good. That is that. Any questions before we depart? That is it for tonight. See you guys on Monday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. What's happening?
I come Tuesday. History. I don't have a subject on Monday.
Alright, good.
Bye, sir.
Yeah, goodbye.